Welcome to the CEO Coach Show Vacation Edition. I'm your host and coach, Rebecca Nesbitt, and today we're talking about the first vacation I've taken in my business since I went full time in 2021. If you struggle to take a break, if you are a workaholic, if you think that just taking one call is fine, then this is for you, my friend. I completely resonate with the not taking the time out for sure. Now, that's not to say that I haven't traveled, I haven't taken breaks, but I have always been on call for specifically one-to-one clients and checking my email and just, those like light business tasks that actually, when you're on holiday and you are a little bit of a self-confessed workaholic. I'm just gonna call myself that because that's accurate. Like, I think when it's your business, you're so invested and you just like love on it. And then when you take a break, you feel like I'm so inspired now to do the work. I had, a day off, a full 24 hours where I didn't check anything, and now I feel so good and I'm so excited to get back to it. That is the that is the little lie that my brain tells me all the time. So every single Saturday when I take a day off, it's like, "Oh, you're so excited to go back to work on the Sunday because you're inspired." And I wonder what will happen. I genuinely wonder what will happen in taking 4 days, and that may seem like nothing, and it may seem like so much time depending on who you are and who's listening. But taking 4 days out, completely out, off the grid out, feels like a lot, y'all. It feels like a lot. So, if that resonates with you, then I want to share 3 of the things that I have really put into place before I go so that I can create that space. I can almost forcibly create that space. And then I'm going to tell you what I learned on my vacation because as of right now, I haven't gone on it. And this episode will shift halfway through and I'll share with you what I learned. It might be magical and wonderful and all the things I want it to be, or it might be super hard. So neither of us know yet, which is really exciting. So let me tell you how I set it up so we can see if we can actually make it happen, I suppose. So first of all, I'm going for 4 days. Me and my husband are going to like the middle of freaking nowhere, Texas, because I mean we live in the middle of nowhere, Texas anyway. This is just 8 hours in another direction, middle of nowhere, because you can drive for, you know, 12 hours and still be in the same state when it comes to Texas. So it's going to be fun. So we're going to be in the middle of nowhere. And it's for our anniversary. We've been married for, it'll be 2 years at the end of August, which is so exciting. My husband's the coolest guy. He gets cooler every single day that I know him, let alone every year. And I am significantly, supremely blessed. He is my best friend in this world, and I just adore him more than anything. So I cannot wait to spend this 4 days with like no technology and just the two of us. It's gonna be so amazing. And that sounds like we don't hang out all the time. Literally, we do lunch together and breakfast together and dinner together and hang out literally every single minute that we're not working, which is probably a lot for some people, but genuinely, like, he's the coolest person. So why would you not want to spend all of your time with the coolest person that you know? Anyway, let's move on. So that's what we're doing. So we are going to be in the middle of nowhere. So there is an amount of stress that comes with the excitement for going away for these 4 days. And the stress comes from I've never really left my business. It's kind of like I do not want to say leaving like a child or an animal because it's not like that. I know a lot of people are like, my business is like my baby. My business is not a baby. Like, I'm not gonna go down that route. But like our cats are indoor outdoor cats. We can leave them for, a long weekend and we come back and they shout at us, but we've like fed them and housed them and given them water and had people checking on them and they're fine, right? So it's kind of like leaving the cats. So there are things that you have to do to set up for that, but there is a notable like fear, which is why we literally have cameras to watch our cats when we're not around. This has gone a very different way, this conversation, than I was planning for it to go, but I love my cats too. So here we are. So with this level of stress, There are things that I've had to put in place because I know that I won't be able to fully enjoy myself if I'm worried about having not told someone that we are on holiday. So I think the first thing is communication is key. So that is obviously you're out of office for your emails. That's like very simple, but it goes so much deeper than that, right? It is scheduling in Todoist. Y'all, if you've been here before, have heard me talk about Todoist before. It's scheduling a story to go out on social media to be like, hey, we're going off grid, see you in 4 days. It is telling our membership, both in an email that goes out literally the month before and in our community, hey, Rebecca's not here for 4 days. Sarah's got you. Sarah's our VA. She is the chef's kiss of a VA, such a superstar who has stepped up to the plate that's like, yes, like I got this. I'll have a closer eye on everyone and love that. She also, obviously, my VA has the dates that I'll be away so that she can prepare as well, so that she can have a little bit freer time if she has to jump in and do anything. And also, my one-to-ones have been informed in their one-to-one calls, as well as a scheduled message again, which is in Todoist, for a few days before just to say, like, hey, we're off grid for 4 days. Now, that might feel like a lot, right? It might feel like overkill. It might feel like we've told people many ways in many different places, but I know that I will feel much better if I feel like everyone knows. Probably no one's going to care. I feel like my business is not a lifeline service. We used to say that in careers guidance all the time. If we're not a lifeline service, then we can't treat it as if it's like the most important thing in the world. Like, it's really not. Even if we treat it that way, even if we want to hold it to that standard, I think it's important to remind yourself that, like, it's not life or death. And just communication is key. All bases are covered. Let your nervous system regulate. Like, everyone's fine. You did your bit, and that's all that you can do. So that was the first thing that I did, was very much put in place this structure of communication. Next thing, I'm not taking my laptop. If anything goes to shit, I will not even have my laptop. I will not have access. I'm not taking it at all, because if I take it, and I know that I'm going to feel like inspired and want to turn it on. And I'll be like, I'm just going to do a few hours because it just feels great. It feels so good. I feel excited. I want to do it. And that is that little story in my brain. It will take me out of the vacation. It will put me back into the world of work. It will not allow me to actually fully shut off. So I cannot even take it. Like, I'm the kind of person, if I have chocolate in my pantry, I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat it because I know it's there and I know I love it. Just like if I know my laptop's there and I know I love to do the work, I'm going to do it. So just don't even take it. Just leave it at home. I'm terrified. I'm like so nervous about it. I'm not terrified. That's probably way too far, but I am nervous about it and I'm going to do it and it's going to be wonderful. And the third thing that I'm doing is we are going to the middle of nowhere in Texas. And Texas, if you've never been here, has snakes that can kill you. And actually, there are various other animals and insects and such things that can do you significant damage also. And I don't think that it is smart, because I have seen every horror movie out there that you don't have a phone. So while I am taking my phone, we're not going to connect them to Wi-Fi. That is a promise. But myself and my husband are actually going to switch phones. Because the other thing that I will want to do with my phone is I'll want to take pictures and I'll want to take content and I'll want to take all of these things. But if I have my phone, it's all too freaking easy to go onto Instagram, to post it, to be re-engaged with messages and such things. So I can't have access to that. I have to switch to my husband and we have to just like pretend our phones don't exist, right? But it's kind of like people that switch cigarettes for a vape. It's like you kind of have this like little thing to lean on, but it's not the same. So that's the plan. That is the plan. Those are the three things is communication to within an inch of my life. It's ridiculous. Not take the laptop and switch my phone with my husband. And truly, the intention for this trip is connection. Of course, it's my anniversary. I'm going to be with my husband, so there's connection there, but also connection with nature. We're planning to do a lot of like outdoor related things and to myself as well. So I'm not going to make you wait for the results. I am just gonna I'm gonna go now. This version of me, which will be past me when you watch this, and even the next me will be past me technically when you watch this, but or listen to this. I'm gonna go now, and then I'll come back and share what I learned doing this from the vacation. Welcome to part two. What actually went down on the vacation? We are a week post vacay now. So two things that were really, really important from the last share. Like, how did it all go? One, way easier than I thought. Way easier to disconnect, way easier to not look at my phone or to even worry about what was going on at home. I wasn't nervous about coming back to work, even though I knew that we'd have a bunch of messages. And I do believe it's because I genuinely did make it so dramatic that we were taking this 4 days off. I mean, it's so dramatic in my mind, but I do believe that the over communication really helped me to relax. I just, anytime that any drama started to come up or any thought of, oh my gosh, like I'm not in the emails and all the things, I just thought it's okay because I communicated this to everyone and multiple times. And I felt so good about that that I was able to completely switch off, which was a gift. So, what actually went down on the vacation, if you'd like a little vacation rundown, and what I truly learned is really profound. It's something that I'm continuing to work with. And let me give you an overview of the vacation. So, the first day, I'm not feeling great. And I don't mean mentally, I mean like my body wasn't feeling great. I kind of had a bit of like an achy head. And I genuinely thought it's because day one, we were driving for 8 hours. So I thought it's the heat, it's being in the car for so long. I do have motion sickness very often. So I thought that, oh, it's all of this. And I thought, I just need a good night's sleep. So we're 8 hours in the car and we stopped for lunch. We left a bit later than we were planning to. So we kind of get to Marathon, Texas around the evening time, kind of early evening. And we got to this place. It's one of our friends has a house there and it was just stunning. And I was walking around, I was saying to my husband, like, oh, I just love the vibe. I loved the vibe. It was right on the corner of town. It was super spiritual, so loved that. Just like all of the extra bits and pieces, like this beautiful bathtub. I went for a bath every single day, and it had those things you put across the bath that it's like a kind of bath table. Oh, it was so wonderful. So I loved it. So we got there and I was like, this is amazing. I'm here for it. So we had been driving all day. And like I said, I've not been feeling that well. So usually our car trips are like, it's the Eras tour starring myself and my husband. And this time it really wasn't. We did want to connect. That was the main purpose of the trip. So we kind of agreed that we wanted less podcast, less music than usual, but with how I felt, I just thought I just can't take this in. So we spent a lot of the time speaking and or in silence. And that silence could be, 20 minutes to ponder something the other person had said. And it was really cool because, like I said in the last part of the show, I adore my husband. So it was really cool. But I do believe that I just wasn't feeling myself. So I was very susceptible to noise and sound. Day 2, I wake up and I can't lie on my left-hand side. My ear is throbbing, my throat hurts, my jaw hurts, like opening my mouth hurts, listening hurts. Everything is in insurmountable amounts of pain. Now, I am not a weenie when it comes to pain. I have dealt with chronic pain for years, but this was just something, and even like my hair hurt. I can remember trying to like put my hair up and I couldn't even put my hair up because it just like, oh, it hurt so bad just to even like touch it. Oh, it was like being on fire. So that's not normal, that's not okay, and my husband, of course, is like, "We need to take you to urgent care." So we kind of spent the morning of our first, like, real vacation day because we're away for 4 days, but we really only have 2 days there because we have an 8-hour drive on each side. So we spend the majority of that day in Fort Stockton at urgent care to find out I have an ear infection, and you know the kind where the doctor hasn't even put that little scope fully in your ear, and she goes, "Ear infection," and you're like, "Oh, it's that bad." So I did utilize Western medicine because I was feeling so, so terrible, and I'm a big proponent of healing yourself, like food as medicine, Eastern healing. The access was just not there, and also the willpower. I could not, like, I was in so much pain. Like, if my leg is hanging off, I really don't want someone to come along with some herbs, you know? I need some support. So I did partake in Western medicine for a brief moment. And then that evening we went to an observatory. They have star parties at the McDonald's Observatory. It was beautiful. Um, and what I will say about my experience there is it was a full moon, which I understand you can't see the stars and the constellations as well, but I love the moon. So I was just in complete awe of how beautiful the moon was. And there were also so many stars. I understand that on a darker night, it would have been very different, but it was just glorious. And after the information they give you about all the constellations, they tell you all these things, they point things out with this really cool pointer thing, then everyone leaves and they start to go further down. There are different telescopes that you can look into that they will tell you, like, this is this particular star cluster, and they'll talk to you about it. And I just didn't want to do that. It was very loud because there was a person on a speaker and there were people all around us. And I just thought, I just want to lie here. So I literally just lay and looked up at the stars, and there were stone benches. And my husband goes to look at some star clusters and things like that. I only wanted to see the moon up close. Like, she's my girl. So I did do that. But if the moon is your girl too, just FYI, please do check the description and come along to the CEO Coven. It is like where we dork out over the moon astrology. We connect you with other entrepreneurs. It's like where your spiritual self meets your entrepreneurial self. We'd love to see you there if you're as like fangirling of the moon as I am. So anyway, I only really want to see her. And I sat under the stars for the longest period of time, and it wasn't silent, but it was much quieter. It's just beautiful. And I sat up. This is no word of a lie. I sat up and I just scanned, and at that exact moment, a shooting star. Oh, it was so beautiful. And I genuinely believe it's because I listened to myself. My husband had wanted to go down to see the star clusters, and I usually would be like, of course, I'll come. Or everyone else had kind of left, so it was weird that I was kind of the last one there. Like, even the guy that took the star party had left by this point, and I was just like by myself. And the old me would have been like, "Oh, that's so weird. Like, move, like go with the herd." And because I didn't, I got to see this most beautiful shooting star. It was breathtaking, amazing. So anyway, we get back from that, it's super late, so the next morning we wake up a little bit early. Yeah, so we wake up a little bit later than usual again. The theme of the trip was later than usual, and we hiked Big Bend. So our number one rule was don't hike in the middle of the day, but actually it ended up that the only time we could hike was in the middle of that day. So we did, and we did the window hike. If you've ever been there, the window trail, so beautiful. Take so much water. We took a gallon and two water bottles each. So we did take a lot. It was like 110 degrees. So would not recommend the height of the day. But definitely take your water, whatever time of the day. And we did Santa Elena Canyon, saw the Rio Grande. It was just really beautiful. And we spent a lot of the time in silence. I swear, the wind was, she was whispering to me. And really, it was this whisper of listen. And the next day, we obviously come home, and the theme is the same. So, the main thing I learned from this trip, from many of the parts of the story that I've already told you, was to listen. And I think that we forget this. Oftentimes, as coaches, I find many people come to coaching because they think it's them telling people what to do. And I say that taking a hit to my own ego because that's definitely like my first foray, shall we call it, into coaching was very much you're the person with the information, you're the expert, you give the guidance. And the more that I coach, the less I believe that to be true. And I even tested this with, because when we think about business strategy, obviously this is like a personal strategy, which I'm sitting with in meditation, going for walks in nature. And genuinely, every time my mind goes to something different, like I'm reading the Throne of Glass series right now, and whenever my mind goes to it and I'm walking in nature, like a vulture makes a noise or the crickets get really loud and I'm like, or a cow moos and I'm like, okay, I get it. I meant to listen. Shut that down. So I'm working through it in my personal life. And I think this is going to be a journey of a long time, this beautiful relationship with listening. But as a business strategy, so interesting. I used it in my one to ones more than usual. I listened more and not just listening like sitting there and listening to people talk, yes. And that's what I've done in my one-to-ones for a long time. But in terms of listening and really hearing and taking action on feels more like the business strategy side of this. So an example is one of my clients, we were talking about the challenge of scrolling on your phone. So I think that we have this as entrepreneurs because we get addicted because we have to be on our phones to post content and we want to know what's relevant. And then we end up getting this like dopamine addiction to the hit. And I think sometimes we're searching for something too. So myself and my client were going through this and she's really struggling with it. So there were a few things that we spoke about that could help. So instead of leaving her to do it off her own devices, because I do know that these habits are so hard to break that sometimes we really need a helping hand, then I was like, in this call, pull out your phone and let's go through your notifications and let's like stop some of those notifications coming through so that when you pick up your phone in the morning, it's not like 100 notifications that's giving you some kind of anxiety. So as she's doing that, we're talking about other things that could help. And something that she'd mentioned was an alarm. She spoke about alarms that she had looked into. She'd looked at this Lumi alarm clock. Some people say it's great, some people don't. It is an investment. It's not like we have like a basic bitch alarm clock now. I used to have a Lumi, which was so interesting, but we have like a very basic alarm clock now. And she had wanted this Lumi, but she was like, I don't know. So while she's on her notifications, then I just buy her a Lumi. It got sent to her today, and we'll see if it works. But that's what comes from really deeply listening to someone. They're talking about a desire they have. And I mean, my one-to-one clients, I spoil them all the time, but I think that's really important. And that's part of my significant joy as a one-to-one coach is to gift people those kinds of things that they just don't expect. Like the joy on her face when I said it's going to be there on Monday was incredible. It really was beautiful. And I highly recommend spoiling your clients. I love doing it. One-to-one group, it doesn't matter. If I can spoil you, I'm gonna spoil you. So that's what comes from listening in terms of business strategy. And that's a very specific example, but other things that have come up even today, someone messaged about the CEO Coven and if there was pre-work, and I said there's not, but would you like some? Like, is that something people want? And just like asking the question, like, is this something you'd be interested in? And then we got into a conversation about what she thought of that and her particular thoughts on pre-work and how that works for her. And then I kind of started to think, okay, well, this give me a little bit of inspiration. Like, I can't promise anything, but I'll think about it, you know? So I think that it is such a gift to listen more than you talk, but to not only listen, but to really deeply listen and to question and to support when you're given information that you could use for a force of good. So that was the main lesson of this vacation, was very much to listen. And also, I think the main point was also take more vacations. More vacations is a gift, and it's something that I'm very fortunate that I can take. So I'd really like to utilize that after the real profoundness of this message of listening. And I just feel like it's because I gave myself the opportunity to stop. So that is the gift that I have for you today, my friends, as well as somewhere where I would love to listen to you is at our CEO Crowd Networking. If you're someone that loves to be spoiled, then you'll fit in with our group for sure. But I would love to listen to what you're doing in your business and see how we can support you in that. Who can we collaborate with? Who could be a potential client for you, a referral? That is really what we do here at the CEO Crowd with our networking events. They booked out for the entirety of August. We currently still have some space for September. I don't know what it will look like when this is released, so I would definitely recommend going in and booking a slot ASAP. You are so welcome. Please never listen to this and think that is not for me. We have had people at all stages of business. We have had people that are making six figures in the room, as well as people that are really at the beginning in the room. So please do come join us. We would love to see you there. And with that, I encourage you to listen. And until next time, I will be over here believing in you.